Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you how to play Jeff the Landshark so that you can get more MVPs in this ultimate guide for Marvel Rivals. Now Jeff the Landshark is a healer and he gets targeted a lot. You don't typically see him in higher levels of competitive play, but he is still pretty decent all things considered. That's due to his heals being pretty effective, and they also will pierce through to your targets to be able to give healing to your entire group, and his healing is actually pretty decent. It does around 140 to 150 healing per second, which is honestly pretty decent. And what's nice about this is you can hit from a very long range. So you can also animation cancel his heals as well, so his recovery. We can see here, what's nice about Jeff is you can heal from a very long range. So sometimes the aiming is a little bit tricky on heals, but you can see here, we can just stand back and just continually spray water, and we're going to heal our teammates, which is nice. We also got ourselves bubbles, which are very useful, and you want to be strategic with how you use them. I always recommend placing one outside the door whenever you're going to start, and hoping that your teammates don't pop it until it's ready to go. But you can also just pop one right as soon as the door opens at the start of the game to give yourself a little bit of a speed boost. I also recommend pairing up with Groot so that you can also give him a speed boost because Groot's very slow. I don't always recommend riding on the shoulders as Jeff, because whenever you're up on the shoulders, you're an easy target. And Jeff, despite being obliviously cute and taking 50% less headshot damage, which is his little boost there just right above my head, the oblivious cuteness, reduced damage taken from critical hits, 50% reduction is still pretty not like amazing, because considering his head is basically like most of his body, so you're likely going to be taking a lot of headshots, meaning that Jeff gets down pretty quick and easy. Now Jeff actually has some really nice abilities here, so you can see here we can reload whenever if you want to animation cancel your reload. It's a roughly around 60 to 70%. You can just pop a bubble there and you can see we were able to animation cancel. So if you want to min-max your abilities, reloading and then popping your bubble, you have to have it at the perfect timing there, so it's roughly around 60 to 70% of the completion of your reload, and you'll be able to animation cancel there. Now Jeff's ultimate is possibly one of the best ultimates in the game, other than like Luna's or Mantis's. You can eat up an entire team, take them and run them off the edge. This also involves knowing which people you're eating, because you can throw people off the edge, but like a Venom or any other ones with lots of mobility like a Rocket Raccoon, they're going to throw themselves, if you throw them off the edge, they're going to jump their way back. So you got to watch out for that as Jeff, because they will just gun you down really quickly. And yeah, sometimes it's just best to throw yourself off of a cliff instead of just focusing on spinning them off. But another nice thing about Jeff is he has a really nice team up with Luna. So if you have a Luna there, you can try out and get the nice ice damage buff. You'll see little pieces of ice floating around Jeff. With his skin, it's a little bit difficult to see. But now our attacks do 5 more damage, which isn't actually a lot. But they create ice surfaces, which will slow targets down by 15%. It's not a huge buff, but it's nice to get a little bit of extra damage on the projectile. It takes the projectile damage from 25 to 30, and the splash damage is still 40 as per usual. But it's really nice to be able to get a little bit of a slow in. It's not the biggest dynamic duo, but I mean, Luna is the best healer in the game, so it's good to have her team up be one that works well with us, because typically people are going to run with Luna, and being able to get a little buff as Jeff is really good too. So yeah, but besides having a really powerful ultimate and a nice little healing bubbles, it's all about managing and staying alive. Now Jeff gets targeted a lot, as I mentioned at the start of this video, because people just want to get him off, because his healing is really good. You can see here we're able to just heal through everyone, and you can just literally stand there and heal, and it'll keep pretty much anyone alive unless they're taking a ton of damage. So that is where Jeff really struggles, is people typically are going to want to take him out as quickly as possible, and that's obviously not good for your team because you're a healer and you want to stay alive. So he's got good mobility. You can go into the ground here and hide, but if you press down spacebar or your jump bar, you can actually climb on walls. So this can be good for getting away if you need to get out of there really quickly. Going into the ground is great because you can decrease your hitbox, which is quite large normally. And whenever you're in the ground, you can hide away on walls, and people, I find, have a hard time targeting you as Jeff. So it's nice to be able to get away and then be able to not return fire, but also just heal up your team. And if you're playing as Jeff, the opponents don't really see, they see your healing beam, but it's not the same as if you're on the same team, because you can see here very distinctly that we're healing. But if you're an opponent, Jeff, you don't actually get to see it as much. Now, Jeff actually has another team up with Groot, and Rocket also does as well, but I don't actually recommend doing that. It only offers a 35% reduction in the amount of damage that you'll be taking, which isn't really a lot, and it actually won't let you test it here because it's not really one to test. You just go on their shoulders. Now, it's great in theory, but the damage reduction just puts you in harm's way, and it doesn't actually help out as much as just sticking to the backside. And I'll show off a video here of some gameplay so you can get an idea of how to play Jeff the Landshark. But he functions well at the backline, healing up, using his splash damage for being able to take enemies out at range. You can also create splash damage to hit enemies, so around walls you can actually still hit the enemy, which is really nice. But I'll show you here a little guide on how to play Jeff. If you're by yourself, it's best to stay in the ground for a little bit of extra stealth to stay alive, but don't forget about your offensive abilities. We are mostly going to be a healer, so that's typically what we want to be doing for most of the time, but we do have a pretty good amount of splash damage that we can do, and again, our ultimate's really great for holding positions. It's hard to get off sometimes, and with players like Venom there, it's best to actually just throw yourself off the ledge because Venom could swing back and just get us, so sometimes it's best just to sacrifice yourself that way. But yeah, he has a really effective ultimate, and sometimes you won't be close to an edge, unfortunately, to be able to throw them off of it. So even just being able to get them into a bad position is great, or taking them off of the point. I was luckily able to knock one of them out there, so that was great. But yeah, even just removing them from a point is extremely effective. So anytime you see also your teammates doing their ultimates, like the Punisher there, it's best to keep them full of health because you'll be able to get a lot of assists off that way. Also, anytime you can see any of the turrets or Moon Knight's onks, it's best for Jeff to get rid of them, as typically your healers are going to be focused more on keeping their team alive. But part of that is also damage reduction, so those are easy things just to remove off the battlefield to keep your team much more healthy. So it's kind of managing all things related to keeping your team alive as a strategist. So not just healing, but also doing things like that, but also knowing when to backpedal. So here you can see this was a good execution of being able to put the bubble at your spawn and having your team use it for a nice movement boost. We got right into the combat here on this map. They pushed really far, so we could have snuck around and went for another way to getting to the point, but we duked it out here. We went into combat. So typically it's best to try and line up as many heals as you can, because your heals will pierce through anyone. So that is, I would say, the best way to go about healing and sticking back, because you're going to have Hawkeye's attention as you have a huge head. You may not get one shot by Hawkeye like some others do, but he can chip down your health really fast. So it's a good reason to alternate between healing and also applying damage. Unfortunately, Namor went down there from the Hawkeye, and yeah, this was a little bit of a tricky fight, but we made it through and we ended up winning this game. So sometimes the combat is intense at the start, and this is where it's good to have your heals up and making sure that you're keeping everyone full of health. But shooting your bubbles from range also works too if you can't reach them with your normal water spray attack. But your job as a healer is to make sure that your tanks don't go down, so that's #1 priority. But also picking up any knockouts along the way is also #2 priority. And you can see here a nice easy double, almost triple with Jeff. So let me know if you have any questions regarding Jeff. I'll try to respond to them as quickly as possible. Hit the subscribe button below if you found this video useful. And I will see you all in the next video. And here is exactly why I don't like to ride on Groot's back. It's tough to be able to keep everyone else alive, but then you also get deleted just like this.